Hello, it's me. Hope everybody's doing well. We're doing some more Overlord today. I don't even know if anybody's actually here. It doesn't really matter, though. I told myself that I was going to stream today, and despite my intense desire to just kind of sit there and not stream, I'm doing it anyway. Hello, bees. How are you? Good to see ya.
Let's give it a try!
Video games.
True. Thank you for the subscription, Kent. Also, good to see that alerts are still working. I was a little concerned that they weren't last time. Very sore and tired. Sorry to hear that. Also, hi, Tom. How you doing? All right. Well, today You were boothing, vending an outdoor event. Oh, that's right. I feel like I remember you talking a little bit about that. How did that go? Well, I hope. Oh, man, I tell you. I have actually gotten a good number of things done today, and I feel really good about it. So what better way to feel even worse about myself than to play the game all about your fucking minions dying over and over again. Today we're going to be taking on Goldo the Dwarf, who many people accurately figured out the sin he represents is, you guessed it, the sin of greed. The way that the opening song is connected to the thing is the guy whose theme that is, Gordeau, in the game he's from, Undernight, his thing is that he's greedy. That's it. I don't have anything particularly funny other than that. So let's get going to the Golden Hills. Shall we? Okay. Let's grab our funny little guys. I want 7, 7, 6, 10. That is the division that I am looking for. Gordo Ramsay, that's right. Alright, and there are the dwarves.
Dwarves like anything that fires or burns, and especially explodes. Make that their downfall, sire. Brown!
No, I don't think I will. I think I'm actually just going to do this. Most important thing to know about this area is the dwarves, similarly to the halflings, have little holes that they come out of and spawn infinitely if you don't fuck up the houses. And technically speaking, while we absolutely could drag the explosives around everywhere, it's probably for the best that we don't, just because, Please start picking those up. Blues. I think we're almost certainly going to permanently lose a couple, because I did not do that very well. Where are the other houses? Here's one. There's very few things I dislike more than infinitely spawning enemies in video games. Just not fun for anybody involved. Any more? Doesn't look like it. Alright, what did we lose? We lost 2 blues and 3 reds. Awesome. Back we go to get more. Gordo like from Kirby, yes. There we go. And there was also a mana object up there, so we might as well grab that as well. Let's see. Oh, there's also more dwarves down here. Hang on, let's kill these guys too. more gold is always good, because I don't remember the exact number, because it was a million years ago that we last streamed this game, but I'm pretty sure that in order to get all of the tower upgrades that we want in order to impress our wife, we need something in the number of 11,000 gold, which is a lot.
Ooh, an object choose. I like objects.
Okay, guys, does anybody want that stick? Good. Just making sure. Alright, they'll take that back, and then we will continue onwards. Might as well kill these sheep, too. No reason not to. None of these are the aggressive sheep that will actually attack us, so we can just kill them for free. Hooray. We're also, I believe, Pikmin took a dark turn. That is kind of the entire impetus of this series, is that it's Pikmin but evil. No, I don't remember what I was going to say. I think at some point, hopefully, we will get the final smelter soon.
I've never seen the point of slugs. They seem to exist merely to be squashed.
I don't know, some slugs are cute.
These creatures may be deadly, but they have no love for dwarves. Perhaps that can be of use to us.
Let's see.
Browns.
Yeah, let's get that slug hole covered up. I don't know why the dwarves just didn't do that. Seems like it would probably be the easiest thing to do. But who can say? Let's see. Oh, down here... elves.
He is no dwarf.
Let us out! Let us out!
Quick, before the guards return!
I really like that you can...
We still have some strength left.
You can very obviously tell that it's just like...
The Mother Goddess has forsaken us. Do not do the same.
Like the same voice actors as like the normal ghost elves.
Let me die with dignity, stranger.
And they even still have like the same vocal effect on them.
Let me die with dignity, stranger.
Browns.
We're heroes. We're helping the elves out. I think.
All.
Is it on? It is on. I don't want that. Oh, they killed some of the...
Cease. Cease.
Okay. Did I get any... Hang on. Okay, I did not get any corruption points for that. That's good. I don't want those. Okay, so... Got some slugs over there. Hey man, no need to attack those guys.
Such a proud race, reduced to servitude. Sometimes even gods have a sense of humor.
That creature, it tore through our forest. We couldn't stop it.
He's obsessed with gold. No matter how much they mine, it does not satisfy him.
Let's see. Well, we might as well kill these two. I don't think that should aggro any of the other dickheads. Okay. So let's overlook this area here. Do. So what we want to do... Nope, that's not what I wanted. I actually want to put the other minion spell on, I think.
Reds, you choose all.
Two of my minions appear to be...
Reds. All.
Everybody here. And then
Brown.
5. And then what we're gonna do is do this. There we go. And now we just hang out and we wait. Vibing, as the kids call it. That's right.
You choose all. Browns. All.
We're gonna put basically everybody else just like. Well, actually, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the Browns right here. And then everybody else right there. So that way... Am I a proud father? No. Most of my minions are idiots. I would say I'm a deadbeat father. But that's okay, you know? Sometimes it's okay to be a deadbeat dad. But only if you're an evil overlord. Because deadbeat dads are evil. This is a known fact. Man, these slugs fucking suck, dude. They are just not doing it. Like, every single one of them is just dying immediately before the slugs can... before they can even, like, attack and kill a single dwarf. That's crazy. We should get another minion spell out of this, thankfully. Eventually. Once enough of the dwarves are dealt with, that I feel like I can actually put the fucking, slugs back over. Those slugs aren't even metal. It's true. They're not guilty either. Not guilty slug, metal slug, guilty gear, slug gear, nothing. Or Metal Gear. That also. In the meantime, actually, you know what? So, sorry, just a sec. You might have noticed that the stream title reads Gina Reinhardt Mining Poem. You might be asking yourselves, what the hell is a Gina Reinhardt mining poem? Well, to answer your question, Gina Reinhardt is a Australian billionaire who inherited a ton of mines from her dad. Or from her family, or whatever. And needless to say, she's just very weird, like most billionaires are. But she's weird in the sense that one of the things she did was write a poem about needing to have mines, like, or keeping mines in as something that you should continue to invest in as, like, a culture. Okay, I guess we're gonna have this cutscene. Oh, hey, who's that?
Those pipes channel beer straight from the brewery. It's potent stuff.
Finally watched Edge Runner, so you can be probably hyped about Lucy coming to Strive. I'm really interested to see what her gameplay is going to be like.
Dwarves are never more ferocious than when they've had a drink. So, watch out, sire.
Oh, cool. It looks like most of the dwarves have actually been, dealt with. So... What was I saying? Oh, yeah, so, the Gina Reinhardt mining poem. So, one of the things that Gina Reinhardt did is, in order to inspire people to, think about mines more often, she wrote a bad poem, like, objectively, which is impressive because it's generally speaking kind of difficult to make an objectively bad poem, but she did do it. Ooh, this is actually. We gotta pull back.
You choose all.
A little bit more guys than I was hoping there would be. We lost a lot of Browns there. That's unfortunate. And if you guys would like, I would love to read to you this poem. So you can learn exactly why it is that mining is so important. Would you like that? Would you like me to read that poem for you?
All. A new minion spell.
Yes, okay, understood. I was gonna do it anyway, but here we go. So, let me find a nice spot to set myself. And also, what I should actually do is I should go back and grab more minions too, because we lost
Brown, green, red, blue, green, red, blue.
too many. We lost a red and we lost some browns. And also, I just want to make sure that fucking Gnarl doesn't interrupt me with whatever this new minion spell is.
Oh.
It's a long walk back. Also, I want to figure out where the fuck these minions that... Because there's 2 minions that are just, like, unaccounted for some reason. I don't know where they are. Come on, go. Grab you.
The Legion of Honor spell will boost the defense and attack of your minions. She will also make sure they only attack your enemies and not just you. Choose all, everyone and everything.
Oh, that's pretty good actually. It's the good guy version of the other minion spell that we have, which just makes them go crazy and attack everything. Okay, now that that's finally done, let's read the Gina Reinhardt mining poem. The globe is sadly groaning with debt, poverty, and strife, and billions now are pleading to enjoy a better life. Their hope lies with resources buried deep within the earth, and the enterprise and capital which give each project worth. Is our future threatened with massive debts run up by political hacks, who dig themselves out by unleashing rampant tax? The end result is sending Australian investment, growth, and jobs offshore. Okay, not good. This type of direction is harmful to our core. Some envious, unthinking people have been conned to think prosperity is created by waving a magic wand. Through such unfortunate ignorance, too much abuse is hurled against miners, workers, and related industries who strive to build the world. Yeah, I don't know, you tried to fit too much stuff in there. Develop North Australia, embrace multiculturalism, and welcome short-term foreign workers to our shores. To benefit from the export of our minerals and ores. The world's poor need our resources. Do not leave them to their fate. Our nation needs special economic zones and wiser government before it is too late. Well, what do we think about that? Good? Good? Bad? Good? Awful? Good? Bad? I think bad. That's kind of what I'm thinking right now is bad. I don't think that's very good. Great performance, thank you. But what do you think about the actual poem itself? Because I feel like it's like bad, personally. Yuck? Mm-hmm. Yep, that sounds about right. Sorry, just a second. I tried to press one of my new buttons, but it did not work. Okay, here we go. Now I can press it.
I hate rich people!
There we go. It's trying to be like inclusive, but the problem is that, like I said, she tried to fit too many things into it, like the related industries. Like I feel like it's really difficult to put the words related industries into a poem. You know, like it just doesn't work. You got to try some other stuff.
Brown, greens, red, blue.
Okay, so we're missing a blue and a brown somewhere. I don't know where they went. Hang on, let's kind of retrace our steps here and see if we can't track them down. If only there was a character around to tell us what to do to rich people. It's true. Some kind of Final Fantasy XIV character
All!
who had some distinct feelings about the wealthy in their name, but yeah, I don't know. I just can't think of anything right now. Oh well.
Our women, they took them. I know not where.
That's cool, man. Alright. Minions, drink and be merry, I guess. And then piss everywhere, as you are wont to do. I don't like how loud the minion pissing sounds are. Let's see. Yes, that's you, bees. Break the barrier. Okay. Gnarl did also mention a brewery of some kind. So perhaps that's something we're going to be attacking at some point here. Get out of my way, elf.
You choose all!
Come on, guys. Hit the barricades. Let's go.
Browns!
Yes. Excellent. Okay.
All!
Oh, we have all our minions back now. I guess two of them were, like, stuck on that thing there. Okay.
Browns!
Uh-oh.
Blues!
Blues. Go in there. Grab. Get out.
You choose all!
Okay, I'm guessing those slugs are probably just gonna keep coming.
All! All! Blues!
Oh, that's really bad. Uh-oh. Okay.
All!
That's, basically every single one of my reds gone. That sucks. Oh, and that's even more gone.
You choose all!
Okay, well,
Brown!
we lost 6 reds.
Blue.
Jesus. Man, our reds are just suffering.
All!
They're trapped down there by those slimy beasts. What good is gold? They cannot eat it, sleep upon it, nor use it as a weapon.
No, I mean, you could actually...
Gold. Music to my ears, along with the words trapped elves. Now we just have that 20-ton problem blocking our way.
I think you can actually sleep on gold, by the way. That is something you can do. But regardless.
Oh!
Okay, let's go back and replenish our dickheads. And kill some sheep. I tell you what, coming back to this game, I am so looking forward to,
Blues! Reds!
moving on to fucking Overlord 2.
All!
Because that game really does just feel so much better in a lot of ways. Okay. Here's what we're gonna do.
Red! Blue! Blue! Brown! Red! Brown!
Where are my greens? There they are. Okay. Greens, we're gonna put you right here, and they're gonna go invisible.
You choose all!
And then I'm gonna put
Blue! Reds!
reds kind of right here.
All!
Everybody else is gonna go right there. And then I'm gonna break the barrier myself. Hello, dickhead. Come here. Excellent. Nice and easy. Very nice. Give me all of that life force, please. Delicious, delicious life force. Oh, wait, I actually don't want to do that. Sorry, put that back, guys.
Oh!
Yeah, I think that was actually there primarily as a way to help us fight the slugs, but we don't need that. So, teehee. Once again, in the hypothetical Overlord game that I would like to make, I would very much prefer some better ways to control your minions a little bit. I haven't had the chance to really think too much more on exactly what I want. Uh-oh.
Effective at burning everything to a crisp. Especially those slugs, I bet. However, sire, the tank is notoriously unstable, given the right kind of persuasion.
Yeah, well, we'll come back to that, I think. Yeah, I haven't had time to think too much about my Overlord's theoretical game because I haven't been playing Overlord as much. But, you know, I'm sure I'll have more things to think about as time goes on.
Praise the Mother Goddess!
We haven't had a breath of fresh air for days!
Search for the others. They still might be alive.
I don't care. The only reason I'm letting you live is because I don't particularly need to kill you. Oh, okay. Well, I guess we want that.
Poor creature's going to get a stomachache, sire. Best to put it out of its misery.
Thank you, Rose. Okay, let's see. What's this way? This might just be a dead end with a spawning pit, maybe? Yes, okay. Good to have a brown spawning pit. We haven't, have we gotten, I can't really tell if we've gotten much armor from the dwarves. Because, the... Alright, well,
Browns. Reds.
there, excellent.
Oh!
That,
All evil domains need funding, Master. This should do very nicely.
it's true. Evil domains do very much need funding. 11,000 gold worth of funding, or so.
If it's gold you seek, there is plenty deeper in the mine.
Thanks. Why does your voice sound normal? It's kind of weird.
I'd rather die in a slug's belly than let Goldo have it. His greed has cost too many lives.
Oh, I like that the gold we're getting out of the barrels and stuff isn't like in bags, it's just like nuggets. How do you guys feel about the word ingot? I've always really liked the word ingot. I'm not sure what it is about it. It's just a fun word. Alright, let's make sure our guys get back to us. Did they all come back? Okay, they did come back. Excellent. Let's keep going. Okay. Let's keep going. And also, again, I've talked about this a billion times already, but I think one of the things that this game does not particularly do well is it doesn't really give a great impression of being evil, all things considered. Like, you get to do things in the sense that, like, you're raiding and pillaging, but, like, you know, the police do that, you know? That's not all that, like, traditionally evil. I think it would, I think the second game actually does a little bit better of a job of that. I think they were worried about being, like, too dark and evil in this game. Lest it either A, jack up the rating, or B, you know, take people away, or push people away from the game. Let's see. There's some explosives over there. And I think... Oh, hey man. Let's kill this guy.
Browns.
Well, for sure it's something the second game does better, and this is a game that came out in an era where I think designers were still kind of nervous about experimenting too much with the depictions of things in video games, despite the fact that, like, you know,
You choose
there's tons of, like, pretty overtly sexual and offensive stuff in this game, but, like, that's just normal, which is sad. But in terms of, like, what people think of true evil, a lot of this is just mischief, you know? The minions are very mischievous. And they like pissing, which is vulgar, but again, not evil, necessarily. Everybody pisses. Pissing is not something that only evil things do. And also, of course, again, you are fighting against heroes, yes, but they are heroes who have been corrupted and fallen to evil. Which I feel like, again, kind of takes away from the feeling of you get to be an evil overlord, because you are saving people. I think the first place I heard the word ingot was shining the Holy Ark, where you could find mithril ingots and bring them to a smithy, and they'd create gear customized for one of your party members. It was neat. Nice. I like customized gear. Mithril is also another really good sounding metal name, you know? Also very associated with dwarves. Let's see. They should be fine getting back on their own. Oh, there's some more items up here. No, guys. I mean, I'm happy that you guys decided to do that, to go after the barricades. That's fine, but I really wanted you to sweep you over this pickaxe. Almost as good as Orichalcum. Oh, man, Orichalcum is on another fucking level, though. I'm reminded of one of my favorite... oh, wow, we're really getting up there in terms of money. We actually might be able to afford almost everything with, like, just one more of those things. Let's see.
Browns.
Explode. Yeah, he doesn't even notice. He doesn't even fucking care. That's cool. And woots? I thought it was wolves, like O-W-O-O...
You choose all.
L-Z. Is it woots? It's a very funny name. Oh god. Why did you guys do that? Why did you attack the explosives? What the hell? Alright, what did we lose? 2 browns, 2 greens.
Blues.
lost mostly blues.
Browns.
Looks like that sucks. Really fucking annoying. Oh, why did you do that? Alright, well, we know there is a green spawner and a brown spawner in this area, so that's good. Let's go grab our browns and then...
Blue, greens,
2 greens?
browns.
Yeah, okay. We won't get our full horde strength back, but...
All.
God, we keep dipping down below 200% horde strength, and that makes me sad. But again, it's just so easy for things to die. Like, explosives are easily one of the most terrifying... Or, not just explosives, but anything that can completely kill your minions. Like, blow them up, kill them. Which is something we are going to see a lot more of in this area. Because I distinctly remember the boss of this particular little adventure...
Blue, brown.
Being one that can just outright, like, grind up your minions, and that sucks. It really does. Okay.
Browns.
That minion might die, I don't know. Nope.
You choose
Dwarves are really bad
all.
shots.
Browns.
Alright, that's that.
All.
Let's be very careful about where we're sweeping our guys here, because there are still explosives nearby. Here's what we're gonna do.
Browns.
Just leave it right there. And the other one's gonna explode, because it's next to another explosive, and that's how explosives work. When one explodes, the other one often explodes. That's how it works. Any explosives over here? Yes, okay. There we go.
You choose all.
Loads of money. Okay, stop. We gotta make sure there's no bombs around here, guys. Now I actually do feel like a dad. Taking care of my horrible goblins. Which I think many dads may describe their kids as. But that's, you know, not always a good thing to do. Kid leash time. You know, that might actually solve it. Oh, I had a mind to destroy these barricades with the bombs over there, but then I remembered, oh, actually, you know, the gold is going to be going by there real soon. Probably not a good idea to do that yet. Okay. Dwarves over there. Oh, hey, buddy. I love when they come at us one at a time. It's great. It's like Assassin's Creed. Surrounded by guards, and they come at you one at a time. And thankfully, it's also none of the ranged dwarves either, which, as we know, can explode my minions. Which is bad. I don't like it when they do that. Aha, and there's a red spawning pit. Excellent.
Reds.
That means we can get the one red we're missing back.
Browns. Greens. Browns.
And the gold should be getting back there pretty soon, I hope. Any minute now.
You choose all.
Excellent. We might actually have enough to finish all of the tower upgrades that I want now. That seems crazy. I thought for sure we would have to wait a little bit more. Let's run back and grab our sons. Our funny idiot sons. Any explosives here? No. Explosives here, though. We'll just let those explode and come back to them later. There they are. Come here, guys. Is that all of them? That's all of them. Alright, let's go. Alright, kids. We're off to collect the final bit of Golo's gold. Okay. That way was nothing. Yeah, this is what we're looking for.
Browns.
Get in there. Kill. Excellent.
Coming back.
Okay. Cool.
Oh! My treasure.
Still steadily upgrading our guys, which is nice. I'm just gonna leave that bomb there to destroy that chair. Maximum overkill on the chair. Let's see, what do we got up there? Just looks like more normal-ass dwarves. Anybody want that pickaxe? Yes, the red wanted the pickaxe, because it makes his the fireballs that he throws stronger, you see. Naturally.
Oh!
Dope.
Help us. Help us.
The gold is yours. We don't want it.
Slay those beasts and free us.
Okay. So, because we are not doing corruption, this means we do, in fact, have to kill these slugs before we can let the elves out. Can he come up here? Oh my god, he can. Holy shit. And died. Oh, they like died. That's not good. And I'm being blocked by the corpse.
Browns.
I don't like that at all. Oh my god, that's... Oh, they're all dying. Oh, come on, man.
Oh.
We just lost 15 minions.
Brown.
We have one brown left. My god.
You choose all.
Alright, well, that was disastrous. But all the slugs are dead, so that's good. We probably could have used the bombs there, and that would have worked out better for us. But we didn't, because I'm not very smart. Anybody want slug
Blessings
hats?
be upon you. We must find the others.
Get out of the way. Move. I want to see if there's anything funny in here. Oh, there's barrels. Sick. Give me your money. Hello, guys? Yeah, come on. Alright. Pick pick that up. Oh yeah, we also have to break this, I guess. Because the elves aren't gonna fucking do it themselves, apparently. Please, my lord, hit the slay button.
Everyone likes gold, sire, but this King Goldo seems obsessed with it. There's nothing to buy around here. I wonder what he's doing with it.
Well, nothing, obviously. He's just greedy. He just wants it. As soon as he has it, he doesn't care about it. That's the way it works, right? None of my guys need armor upgrades. Okie dokie. Alright, let's head back to the entrance and then teleport back to the tower and see if we can't spend our money. How much money does that leave us with? It's gotta be close to like 20k, right? Yeah, pretty close. My mistress is delighted. Hooray! I made women happy.
Hail!
Hail! Okay. First, let's go into the treasure room to see what we're working with. Just see what it looks like. Oh, look at that! Yes! And soon, a lot of that is going to be gone to upgrade the tower. I'm still not 100% sure why it costs gold to upgrade these things. It's not... Are we paying our minions? It's unclear. Okay. Girl statues.
Glad to see you think about your mistress's needs.
Every mistress needs some girl statues.
That will brighten the place up.
Here, we'll start at the bottom here.
I've always wanted one of those.
Golden Chimera statues, understandable. Actually, okay, it's resetting me back to this. Union fees? Fair enough. Greater Crown
Good.
Top.
The tower has to send out the right evil message.
I agree. Grand Firebowl.
I think you have a flair for this.
Thank you. White Marble Walkway.
I've always wanted one of those.
Just a white marble walkway. Sure, whatever. Greater Imperial Throne.
Now, don't go spending all your money, Lord.
Don't worry, I won't. Oh, is it? Are you fucking kidding me? What app was that? Some fucking Microsoft app was just like gave me a pop-up and was like, we need some more information before you can use this app. I don't care, man. I'm trying to please my wife by buying her things. Fuck off. Jesus, alright. Back to it. And finally, the Golden Guardian statues.
I've always wanted one of those.
So not Slay, exactly. Alright, and that is the tower completely upgraded, I believe. We've got all of the banner. We got the banner that we wanted. So...
Mistress Rose requests that you join her in your private quarters, sire.
Hooray! And remember, everybody, remember the era in which this game came out. This was the hottest thing that most gamers could even think about seeing.
Master?
So just keep that in mind while we're watching this.
I think the time has come to tell you about the finer points of running an evil domain.
Let me see. Stop pushing.
I have diagrams, charts, and a pot of tea on. Do come in.
God, threaten me with a good time.
Now you take the And some of... And you squeeze. Total annihilation. Get something sharp. Right in the pincer maneuver. And that's how you do it, sire. Good luck.
Ow!
And there you go. That's your reward for upgrading the tower completely. Is you get to implied have sex with your wife. So there you go. It doesn't give you anything. It doesn't, like, really... I mean, none of the tower upgrades actually do anything. It's kind of actually just a waste of money. But you get to have sex with your wife. And for many gamers, once again, that was enough. Let me go check on the tower heart real quick. 0% corruption. Okay, we're good.
The blue minions' minds appear to be on a different plane of existence half the time.
What does that mean?
When they do decide to join us on this one, their healing and magical damage skills can be most useful. They can resurrect fallen minions during battle, but blues are quite fragile, so position them carefully.
Okay. What's this way? Let me in. Okay, never mind. Well, I don't know about you guys. If most of you are, I'm sure most of you are just unconscious with how hot and bothered you are right now because of that incredibly attractive and hot and sexy scene. But focus up, everybody. We gotta fucking we got work to do. All right.
Purger of the perverted.
Shut up. Back to the Golden Hills. Cool. Thank you for being attentive, bees. Are the dwarves actually back? Hang on. Yes, actually, they are kind of still back. The homes appear to not be destroyed, so we're just not going to go over there. The good news is, though, about the us losing like a 1,000,000% of our browns is the fact that we stuck with Rose instead of going with Velvet means that our browns automatically come with a little bit of armor, which is great. And the alternative, I don't even remember which one's Rose fucking upgrades or Velvet upgrades. But it's not as important as having your fucking browns. I'll tell you that right now. Let's see. Okay. We're gonna put our guys there because we have the flamethrower dwarf to deal with.
Burning everything to a crisp, especially those slugs, I bet. However, sire, the tank is notoriously unstable given the right kind of persuasion.
There's no shot you're not dead, dude. Come on. What the fuck? Okay. Oh, cool. I also have to bring out my fucking minions again. Awesome. Well, my strategy was sound, but I stopped before I actually killed him. Oops. Let's try that again. Let's also kill all these sheep again. Take out my frustrations on the fucking sheet. Love magic pixel health? I don't. I hate it. I actually think it's bad. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put the fucking shield on. The shield spell. Stick all my guys there.
Flamethrowers, effective at burning everything to a crisp. Especially those slugs, I bet. However, sire, the tank is notoriously unstable, given the right kind of persuasion.
There we go. See, that's what I was waiting for. I don't know why that didn't happen before. Oh god, he's coming right for me. Okay, there we go. And also you die now. There we go. Okay. This way, everybody! Should also prep the slow spell, I think. That can also be pretty useful for, just put that right there. Conveniently placed explosive. Pop, pop. Oh, okay, looks like we're gonna need another one, but that's okay. Anything over here? What is the point of this area? Oh, is that to sneak around the flamethrower guy? Probably. Look at those game designers. Always thinking, wait, dude, come here. Oh, Jesus, he almost fucking just stood there and took it. That would not have gone well for him. What's happening? Game? What the fuck was that? Whatever.
The dwarves are fiercely secret about their brewing rituals. Sport must guard the brewery.
Okay. So... are the dwarves gonna be shooting at us from up there? Boy. Okay, first we're gonna grab this waypoint here. I do this. No, okay. Let me think about this. Because the way that we need to get through that door is we need to use the mines again. But I'm nervous about having all of my minions here.
You choose all.
So, I'm gonna grab my browns. Oh, there's the mines. I'm not even gonna try with that one. I'm too scared. Okay, where's the next one? Come on, man. Throw a mine at me. Do I have to be down here for it? Yes, I do. Okay. Just put it right there. Okay, that's 2. I think we need 4 for this. Oh, uh-oh. Uh-oh. I didn't expect more guys to show up.
Oh, browns.
Okay.
All browns.
Throw another mine at me. Come on, fucker. Oh, shit. Get up there. one more. Come on, target the mine, target the mine. Oh, we might not have enough time. Oh yeah, just drop it. I am not playing around with... Nope, target the mine. Come on. There we go. Big dwarf.
Oh!
We're gonna wait for the mine.
Browns! You choose all!
Cool. Alright, let's see. So we got a big dwarf over there. We've got explosives fucking everywhere.
Blue! Reds!
Hey, Reds, what happens if I put you right here?
Browns! All!
Ooh, is that an axe? Ooh, look at that.
Brown!
Come on. Surely one of you guys can be upgraded by that. I mean, come on.
Brown! Red. Blues! Green! Reds!
Can you hit it from here, buddy? No, I don't think you can. Darn.
All!
Okay, well, first of all, let's just double check, sweep across that. Okay, I think what's happening there is, like, they're getting stuck. Let's just go ahead and, lure this motherfucker. Okay, Reds, hang on.
Reds!
I'm just gonna put the Reds right here. And let them just kind of huck. Oh, okay. Well, apparently that was not a good place to put them because they're not aiming correctly. Nope, not there even. Alright, then. Here? I don't know. Okay, well, that works, I guess.
Browns!
Explode. Let's just put that right there. Just fucking ran away from it. Why'd they do that? I didn't know they were allowed to do that. Uh-oh. One thing I don't really like about this Army of Honor shit is the fact that it pulls my minions off of guard markers and means that my Reds might run out into melee range, which I gotta say I'm not a huge fan of. I would really prefer that they didn't do that because they're gonna die. Somebody pick that up, please. Yes, give it to me, thank you.
Browns!
Okay. Nice. Looks like we got some dwarven, like, mine throwers up there. In order to get up there... just do that. Okay. Oh boy, there's just so many fucking mines over here, man. Uh-oh, the dwarves are drinking. That's not good. Oh, and several things have exploded. That's also really bad. Okay, please grab that guy and bring him over here.
You choose all.
Need to do that.
Green,
What do we
red,
need?
blue,
2
brown,
greens
red, blue,
and a red. Annoying.
browns.
Ow! Okay, and we lost some browns. God.
Blues.
Sweep them. No, that one was still alive. I could still pick that one up. Why did you make him go away? Ugh. The fact that the blues, like, don't automatically go to revive things unless they are at a guard marker is infuriating. That's literally all they're good for, is reviving things. And they don't even do that automatically unless you either sweep them or otherwise. It's, ugh. God, it makes me so mad. Okay, do we have... No, there's... Doesn't look like there's any archers up here. But there are the mine throwers. So... let's just kill them real quick. Damn, he just threw a mine right next to himself. That's dedication. That's a health relic.
Ooh, an object. I like objects.
Hello? Pick up. Anybody want the axe? The axe? I guess not. I don't know if they're going to be okay getting back on their own. I'm a little nervous about just sending them off.
Oh.
But, what the fuck do I know? Who knows? Maybe they'll be okay. No, not with that route. Yeah, no. There's archers right over there. Can you target the fucking mine thrower, please? That'd be cool. Come on, guys. I just want you to... I just want to sweep you. Come on, sweep. Let's go. Question is, how do we deal with the archers over there? We need to, like, get over there... I'm guessing this building over here is the brewery. And so we'll probably stop in there first.
Brown, red, blue.
But after we pick up replacement idiots.
Browns, greens, blues, reds. Oh.
There we go. One sec. Apologies. Just double checking something. Okay, no, we're good. I'm also just gonna, just for the heck of it, just put some fucking, some music on. Because, there we go. This game does not have a whole lot of music playing for whatever reason. Even if it's just a little bit in the background, you know? Another uni theme. Ugh. Okay.
Your health has increased.
Cool. Almost caught up to our mana bar with our health. Yeah, I think we're gonna want to go through this door over here first. Because I'm not confident about our abilities to get past the archers here. Because obviously what it wants us, or what we have to do is we have to use that wheel, but it's right next to the archers. There's not really a good way to, and I mean, I know for a fact the fucking blues aren't immune to explosives, so that's not gonna work. At least not in that sense. The dwarves are over there. Yeah, we'll just head this way. Uh-oh, Archer. I don't even care if you hit me, buddy. You're just not hitting my minions. And immediately, okay. Every single one of my minions is now dead. That's awesome, dude. I love how fragile literally everything in this game is. It is so insufferable. Everything dies at a moment's notice. And you'd think, like, again, one of the consistently the biggest problems with this game is the fact that, like, there are ways to build yourself back up again, but they're not easy. There's not a super effectively easy way to build your guys back up from the ground up after you've just, like, taken a super fucking catastrophic loss. Hi.
The Mother Goddess statue. Stolen. They make us work. Build a new temple. Oh.
He's dead.
I confess, Master, I have been hatching somewhat of, let's call it, a cunning plan.
Okay.
I won't bore you with details just yet, but it involves gaining access to that statue.
Maybe this isn't the way we want to go just yet. Nope, it is not. Okay, we want to go to a different way then. In that case, let's take that as an opportunity to go back and grab yet more minions. Anyway, how are you guys doing today? Enjoying your Sunday? I hope so.
Brown, green, browns. All.
I'm enjoying my Sunday. Which is good, because I'm not 100% sure how this this next week is going to be going. We've got some big things happening at work that we're going to have to prepare for. Maybe we'll walk to the laundry room and back without visibly hobbling in pain. That's good. Always good. Don't go to a chiropractor unless a real doctor tells you to. I think you might even also be able to say, don't go to a chiropractor. Many would say. low 1230 poetics. That's a lot of, Can we even go over this way, actually? Maybe not. Unless we destroy this bridge or something, which I don't think we can. Okay. One sec. Jesus. So I'm looking at a guard, or a guide, rather, guard, and, the only description for this entire area, usually it offers, like, tips and stuff, you know, like, you know, bring your minions around here and use them to, do whatever. Normally it would do something like that, but for this area, literally the only description is kill the dwarves, and, like, it just says, kill the dwarves in this area and loot the place clean. Once you're done, head to the big building in the area, which is the brewery, because that's the way to the Arcarum mines. There's no, like, tips on, hey, you know, use fucking a certain type of minion to not have them all get blown up. I don't even know. Here, we'll just do this and then pull them back. Here's what we're gonna do.
Browns. Reds.
No, kill them! Attack! Kill! Every single one of them is dead.
Browns.
What the fuck am I supposed to do then?
Browns. Blues.
Fucking Reds can't do anything. That is infuriating.
Browns.
Whatever, just do this. Pull them back. Keep doing it. Just do your best, idiots. I don't care how many of you die. There. The worst part about them dying, honestly, is just the fact that, like, all their gear is lost.
Oh, brown. Blues.
So we have to fucking go back and refarm their gear.
All.
Oh well, we got it done. Sometimes there are some interesting things you can do with the fact that the Reds have, like, an arc trajectory for their projectiles. But most of the time, it just ends up being fucking annoying, because they can't aim for shit.
Oh.
And maybe there was some obvious solution there that I was missing, like, I think maybe it was last time. But when somebody mentioned that, like, hey, the blues are immune to magic, so you can just put the blues...
This is the center of the dwarves' brewing operations.
You can just put the, you can just put the blues on the,
Do not expect a welcome mat and a guided tour.
Okay, well, we just lost some more guys, I guess. Oh, we're losing lots more. Cool. Yep, awesome. Just keep losing my train of thought with this game, because every time something fucked up and annoying happens, I just have to stop and comment on it. Oh well, in we go. Oh yeah, I remember what I was talking about. Talking about that time somebody mentioned that you can just, like, put the blues there because they're immune to magic and they won't die to the projectiles. I was like, I can't believe I didn't fucking remember that that was a thing.
Brown, you choose all. I smell pee. Browns! Oh!
Sure is a lot of beer around here. Uh-oh. We're gonna lose some guys for sure as a result of this.
You choose all!
Especially if I keep my fucking spell turned on. Yeah, everybody drink up, do whatever, I don't care. It might be beneficial, honestly, to sweep the minions through the beer before I send them into combat, because Gnarl says they're stronger, but, like... I don't know, man.
The dwarves only build their houses underground to stop rain getting in their beer. Judging by those pipes, this one seems to have a constant supply. Perhaps it's time. Ha! He's not happy. Browns.
There we go. Okay, yeah, we should go this other way first, I think. It's weird to me, just thinking on the topic of the fact that, of how blues don't automatically revive guys that they're near, or dead guys that they're near. It is so weird to me that that happens, because, like, other minions will attack,
You have found a new shield spell.
like, random enemies near them. Like, the reds will automatically attack anything that's near them, and so will greens, but blue won't. And I think technically so will blues, but blues won't revive anything near them.
Will give you a little peace and quiet. She won't hurt enemies, but she will hold them back while you plan your next evil move.
Okay. I guess. Okay, so we need to go collect the spokes for that wheel again.
Browns.
So let's do that.
All.
Right. Just have one guy carry that back, and that should be fine. Little bed. And little books. Fuck books. Anyway. Alright, what do we got through here? More shit to break. Mana regeneration. Beer for the minions. Guys, are you not gonna break anything in there? I think you probably should. Morons. Every single one of them. Okay.
Browns. Reds.
Oh god.
Browns. Oh.
Ooh, I don't like those archers' positions. That looks unfortunate. in here. Can they hit anything? No, of course they fucking can't. Why would they be able to do that? That would be silly. Can they hit from here? Nope, of course not. Once again, that would be silly. Why are you guys attacking? I think I'm still missing the one minion that took the... Actually, hang on. So, hang on. Let me think about how exactly I want to do this.
Greens.
Blues. I'm gonna put you right here. Greens.
Reds. Blues. Reds. Greens.
Greens are gonna go right here, along with the
Greens.
reds.
Reds. Browns.
And then hit the lever. The archers are right over there. Explode. There we go. That's what I wanted. And of course, the one minion that we sent to bring the fucking spoke over there has not come back and is stuck somewhere out there. So I guess we gotta go fucking find him because he's not smart enough to come back on his own. Very well. In Overlord 2, one of the things that is kind of nice sometimes is if minions are separated from you for too long, they just kind of despawn. They don't die, so like you can still resummon them back if you get to a spawning point, but it's not as often that they just get permanently stuck somewhere forever and you never know where they fucking are, which is great, because I hate it when that happens.
Browns.
All right then.
Reds.
Reds.
Oh. Greens. Reds. Red. Blues. Greens. Browns.
Wait, hang on. Okay, there we go. Whack. Here he comes. Yep. I forget, what I actually need to do with the greens is put them on a guard marker, not like next to the back line, but next to the front line, but not on the front line, because they will die. We do want browns to be the ones that are attacked first, but we need greens to be pretty close behind. Reds and blues are perfectly happy to sit on the back line all they want, but we need greens to be melees, because they are melees. Okay. Alright, yeah, everybody drink up.
Browns.
Let's see, there's a mana thing. Oh wait, are the reds able to hit from over there? They are. Holy shit.
Blue, red,
Reds, you can sit right there then and just do that.
browns.
I'm more than happy to let you do that. Okay, well, now they're not hitting anymore. Awesome. Okay, got a mana pool. Don't really care about that. There's a big dwarf in here, it looks like.
You choose all.
Lucky that we haven't run into another fucking flamethrower guy yet, or especially a flamethrower guy in the context of like we're in the middle of a big actual fight with other enemies present too, and there's a flamethrower guy, because that is going to be absolutely fucking like disastrous. Kill that guy. Hit that switch. And that lets some dwarves out. Cool. I don't know why it needed to show us a cutscene for this, but yep, I know. There are dwarves.
Green, blues.
No time to set up fancy stuff. Just go. Kill. The green, I really don't get much use out of the greens in this game. I feel like they're much easier to use in other games. Or, not other games. In other game. The only other one there is that has this system. Come on. Get him up. There we go.
Oh.
Oh god! I didn't even notice there was an archer.
Browns.
Okay. Just so fucking long as they don't, The sooner we can get guys in melee combat. Oh, jeez. Okay. Before we get too into smashing this, let's just make sure... Okay, and one of our guys is already dead. That's awesome.
Green, blues.
Pick him up, please.
Green, blues.
Come on. Blues. I hope to God you picked him up. I know I lost at least one brown because he exploded. But I just need to make sure that I didn't lose anything else. Okay, we're good. Excellent. Let's get that pulled. It's kind of annoying to me that once again, another problem that I have with this game that is fixed in Overlord 2 is blues can pick up weapons to begin with, despite the fact that they are effectively useless with weapons. Like, blues, they can pick up armor and stuff in Overlord 2, as I recall, but they can't pick up weapons because they don't... once again, or one of the other things that's different about Overlord 2 versus Overlord 1 is the blues don't have their they're the only ones who can attack magical creatures thing as a benefit. They have something else instead, and that something else involves them essentially not actually attacking anything when you sweep them over enemies. Which is good, because, again, you don't want your blues attacking anything. Because they're shit at it. Not only do they not do any damage, they also don't they also die really easily. And so it's good that they don't attack enemies. We're almost back up to 11,000 gold again, so that's nice. And you guys left a treasure bag behind. Nice job. My idiot sons. I don't even care about that one, honestly. It's not worth my time. I'm not mad about it. I promise. Get the old brewery elevator working. Where did those guys come from? Oh, over here. Oh no, some of them drank. Oh, fuck me. Where's my blues? There they are.
Browns.
Turn that spell off.
Brown. You choose all.
Okay. Nope, I didn't mean to do that. Shit. Forgot that the buttons on this are fucked up. Take me back. I'm gonna have to, like, run around all fucking over the place to get my minions back. What the... Excuse me, buddy. Did it respawn all of these enemies? That sucks. Alright, well, back we go. Luckily it didn't respawn the big guy, because I probably could not handle the big guy on my own. Did it? I might have... Hang on a minute. I'll have to check that when I finished collecting all of my minions. Are they over there too? No, I don't see them. Okay. Come on. 10, 17. Oh, hey. Oh, it definitely respawned those guys over there. Hang on, I gotta see this. Push, go.
Browns.
Oh, I think it did, actually. Oh, we lost a red. I don't have any blues to bring it back. It did actually respawn some of the gold. That's kind of interesting.
Oh.
Come on, go. Up. I love seeing the minions running around with axes. That's pretty fun. Pick it all up. There you go. Oh, and you guys missed some over here, too. So now I gotta walk you all back over there. How in God's name do you think that was the direction that I wanted the camera to move in? Alright. Now, hopefully you guys are smart enough to find your way back over to me. Thank God these dwarves chose to have the highest ceilings known to man. Yeah, I don't know why they did that. You know? You could say maybe, like, the dwarves built a lot of these areas in natural caverns, so they just always looked like this to begin with. But the other thing is the halflings that we fought early on in the game also had, like, high enough ceilings that normal people could walk through. But, I mean, I guess you could also say that Melvin got to be so large and bulbous that he wouldn't have been able to fit through normal halfling things, so they had to make him bigger. You never know. These are the questions that'll never be answered. And fine. It's fine that they're not answered. We don't need to answer them. Alright. Oh, of course these fucking guys are around too. This is my punishment for misclicking.
Choose all.
Okay, let's grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and fill out the rest with blues. There we go. We're back at max.
Oh.
Now, for sure this time, we're going to go deeper into the brewery. No! Don't want to do that. So sensitive. Alright, time for the brewery 2. The second one. There's a waypoint down here. Okay, and there is the... There's our target.
Heart of the brewery, sire. If you don't want those dwarves supping minion-flavored beer, I would advise caution.
Okay, so... This is something of an obstacle course, I guess.
Browns! Browns!
Here's what we're gonna do. No. No. God damn it, he's breaking the fucking... The problem is he's breaking the fucking barrels, and I don't want him to do that. Okay.
Browns!
How can I get him to not focus on the barrels and instead do the thing that I want him to do? Nope. Buddy? Okay, well... And he has to, of course, come back before I can fucking sweep him again. Whee! Okay, good job, buddy. Now come on back. Can I...
Browns! Reds!
Can the Reds target from there? No. How close do they have to be to target? That's pretty good. We'll just let them sit there for a little bit.
Browns! You choose all! Browns!
Okay, he's gonna run back and like individually collect each and every one of these stupid little things on the ground. But that's fine. It appears the dwarves are having the same problems that we are. They can't get their ranged guys to... Uh-oh. And he's dead. And the blue is dead too. Nope. Stop, 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 stop! Oh, it's gonna systematically get them all killed. Oh, that's really annoying. Oh, okay. It's fine. It's fine.
Browns!
I'm not mad. I'm super mad. If I hug the wall here, I think I'm gonna be okay. Nope, stop! And that minion is fucking dead again. Please get up, please get up, please get up! Oh, okay, well. There goes another blue. Stop, stop, stop! You're just gonna keep dying, dude! Oh my god, they're so stupid! Ah!
Reds, browns.
I don't want you to do that. I just want you to fucking go. No, don't pick up the armor!
Oh.
I don't know, man. I just don't know. Don't pick up the armor. Just hit the switch. Alright, we did it. Honestly, the worst part about that entire section is
all brown.
we lost that piece of armor that he went to pick up. We can't get it anymore. It's gone. So that was completely pointless. It literally got us nothing except 4 blues killed. And also 2 browns, I guess.
You choose all.
But blues are definitely more of a precious resource at this point.
Greens a beer kettle. Loot this, and you'll strike a decisive blow against the dwarves. They can't cope with sobriety. Return it to the tower, and your minions will get a permanent boost.
And they'll be right terrors to put to bed.
I love that Rose treats the minions like just kids. It's funny. We should have, I think, some more guys appear. Yeah. I don't see any archers, so I'm not afraid. Archers, I think, are literally the only things that would give me any form of pause. Other than maybe my minions also running in solo, but hey, whatever. Okay, that's great. You can't be fucking serious, dude. You're kidding me. That shouldn't happen. That shouldn't be a thing that can happen. That, I swear to God, if you reset the fucking puzzle. Ooh!
The brewery, sire.
Ooh, that makes me
If
mad.
you don't want those dwarves supping minion-flavored beer, I would advise caution.
I can't believe that fucking happened. I can't believe it. I've never seen anything like that happen before. That's crazy. And now I have to do this fucking thing again and have my minions probably die because they're idiots and they... Yep, there we go. That's one down. What happened was I was killing the minions that... Or I was killing the enemies that spawned after I picked up the keg. And I was mashing the attack button, and because I was mashing the attack button, which is also the confirm button, I accidentally walked close enough to the teleport out. Get up onto the fucking pipe, you little idiot. And I teleported away, which automatically despawned all of my minions and stopped them from carrying the thing that the objective of this area back. And then stopped me from fucking like being able to complete the thing. And now and then when I teleported back, the fucking puzzle reset. Okay, there's no way I can target. Just need to... Nope, stop. Okay, he's dead. Yep, nothing I can do about that. He got knocked down, dead immediately. Come on, dipshit, let's go. Hurry up, hurry up. Where is he? Come here. Jesus Christ. This has actually gotten me, I think, the angriest this game has ever gotten me before. That was horse shit. Cool, whatever. I don't even care. Kill all of them. They're all gonna die in this upcoming boss fight anyway, so it doesn't matter. Nope. Stop doing that. Stop attacking the fucking enemy. Dead. Just dead. Yep. Ugh. I have to, like, fucking wait for them to walk away from that area, otherwise the minions are just gonna magnetize to them and immediately start attacking and then die. No! No, 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 no! Dead. As soon as it gets knocked over, he's just dead. I wonder if this puzzle... Stop doing that. No, please stop attacking them! Oh, this is just gonna run me out of every single useful brown I have, isn't it? I don't know how to get him past there. No! Stop! Stop! No! This isn't supposed to be a difficult challenge. You're just supposed to fucking be able to sweep them through and hit the switch. See? Bam. Done. That's all you're supposed to be able to do. But there's no effective way to do that if they're just magnetizing themselves to any enemy that fucking moves. Oh, cool. 2 of them just died from something that I didn't even see. I could not fucking care less how many of these things die. And you know what? Maybe that's the mentality the game wants me to have for sections like this. Is it like just, you know, throw them away? It doesn't matter. Don't get attached.
Kettle. Loot this, and you'll strike a decisive blow against the dwarves. They can't cope with sobriety. Return it to the tower, and your minions will get a permanent boost.
And they'll be right terrors to put to bed.
Oh, my spell was still on. Oh, well, that's bad. Just kill them, please. Just die. Look at this motherfucker. He's standing on top of the tower portal. It's like he knows that I can't even get close to him. Excuse me? I sent 10. Why was there only 9? Whatever. There's more? Stop sending in more. Is this game any good? No, but I like it.
Towers. Now let's see if that's got their attention.
Okay, I'm just gonna put back everything that I can, essentially. Hello? Where's the last one? Whatever, we'll do that. And if he doesn't come with me, then fuck him. Okay, let's go gambling. And by that, of course, I mean let's go getting the rest of my minions that I need, because the cool thing about being teleported out of that area is it means that there's no easy way to get any of my other minion colors other than browns back. Excuse me. 6. Let's guess it's 23, and then we go get the 7 reds from over here. And then we are done with this area, at least.
Browns.
And man, if you guys think I'm frustrated with this game right now, just wait until we get to the fucking abyss portions of this game, which are in my previous experience, just total bullshit. Yeah, that's pretty much what this game is. I mean, it's obviously it's not a one-to-one because, and also part of the comparison to that, I think, is or the inability to compare the two comes from the fact that Pikmin, I don't think Olimar often fights in it. I think, generally speaking, you have to let the Pikmin do it. I could be wrong on that, but that's what I recall. But in this game, you do actually get to fight. And there's kind of a fucked up priority system in the sense that, like, you need your minions to keep you safe because enemies can and will shred the fuck out of you. But in this game especially, as compared to, in Overlord 2, I am much more happy to use my Overlord as just a meat shield for my minions, because keeping the minions alive is much harder to do. And the brewery back door has been opened. Okay, so now what the fuck do we do?
They say that thieves have been spotted at the new temple construction site. Goldo is so fearful that they're after his gold that the royal halls have been locked down until they are dealt with.
Interesting.
Thieves, huh? Wouldn't want them to steal the statue before we had a chance to.
You may also recall that we are familiar with these thieves already. We've encountered them pillaging Rose's castle, and also in other places as well. They are led by the last hero, or one of the three remaining heroes, because we still haven't killed Goldo. Jade the Thief, who represents envy of the 7 spicy sins. That's just kind of the era this game was made in, you know? They all sound like that. All games sound like this in this era. Wish I had a map. Where fucking am I? Okay, this is a new area. Hang on, let me think. Okay, turn. Anything up there? No. Make sure we drink all the beer, so the dwarves can't.
Blues.
Take that guy up before he can fully disappear.
Oh.
Okay, pick that up.
Congratulations, sire. You have found a new domination spell.
Hooray! I don't remember where we are or how many left we have to find. Look at them cleaning, doing the mowing, or the mushroom mowing. Where did they go? Minions? Where did you go? Are they going back to the waypoint? Is there a waypoint that I don't know? Where... Unless they just slipped past me and I didn't notice. I hope that's what it is, because,
Green, red, browns, all.
It would be quite frustrating if it were.
Submission
There we
makes
go.
all nearby enemies as quiet as lambs, giving you a chance to decide how best to turn them into lamb chops.
Neat. Which one is that? That must be this one, then. Gotcha. Still haven't found the final flame spell. Destruction spell, I think, is the last one that we're looking for there. Hello? Where are my dickheads? Dickheads! Where are you? They're just gone. I don't know where the fuck they are. Are they over here? Oh, looks like we got some fire beetles. Money, 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 money. The main thing I think we're saving money for now is equipment once we get the final smelter, which should be soon. Hey buddy, how you doing?
The Arcanium mine is overrun. We did not even have time to save the smelter.
Smelter? Delter!
Locate that smelter, sire. Then our minions could create some armor truly worthy of you.
Alright. Hello, come fight me. Okay, and they immediately killed a red. That's cool.
Greens, blues,
Pick that fucker up, please.
browns. Browns. You choose all. Browns.
Uh-oh. Oh, of course it's the one with the highest health that was gonna blow up. Oh boy, that was scary. Okay, no, really, where are the last 5 guys? Where are they? The 5 guys from the place 5, the restaurant 5 guys, where are they? Also, I put the wrong minion type. Oh, I put it on, I did it again. I do not want anybody except my browns sweeping towards enemies. That is a terrible idea. There's still one more bug over there. Just have to keep that in mind.
Browns. Green, blues.
Am I somehow down more guys somehow? Better fucking not be, man.
You choose all.
Alright, well maybe they'll join me when I fucking enter the mine. In we go. That was a cool transition. Oh boy. And there are the flamethrower dudes.
Brown.
Hooray, they did come back. Excellent. Nope, okay. No flamethrower guys or archers over here. Those are our main worries at this point. Okay. It's time for another fucking puzzle room. Let's go. Holy shit, that's a lot of slugs. What else do we got around here? Let's see. So, right over there is the smelter. But I don't believe we can actually get it across this bridge here. I think it's too small, as I recall. But I think we should probably... Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do the same thing that we did last time.
More flamethrowers, Lord! Goldo must have sent them here to clear out the slugs.
How best to deal with this? I don't like how close to each other they are. That sucks. It sucks a lot. Can I lure... Not really, no. Oh god. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Okay, that doesn't work. Got it. Well, I mean, it kind of does, but... Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Whoa. Okay. Maybe he explodes and kills the other one? No, not even fucking close. Awesome. Okay. Come on. No, target. Come on, bitch. What's the matter? Fucked over. Okay, there we go. I don't suppose there's a health portal thingy I can use here, huh? Probably not, right? Whew. Okay. Any health potions in there? No, just mana. Okay, well that sucks.
Browns.
But the good news is the flamethrower guys do appear to be dead.
You choose all.
There should be, I think there's probably more up ahead, but for now...
Browns. Oh.
Alright, if any of you want to drop some health potions right now, that would be very helpful.
Master. These levers control the furnaces below.
Okay. Looking around this area here. think there's something else around here as well. Is it a... No, I can't go across this pipe. And my minions can't either. Why can't I activate this switch? I should be able to. I don't understand what it's talking about here. It says this.
All Browns.
No, it's not over here.
You choose all.
Unless it is.
Browns.
I don't know.
All.
Health potion, health potion, health potion, health potion, health potion. Fuck you.
Browns.
What about up here? Oh, okay, this is what I'm looking for.
You choose all. All.
Okay, we gotta go over here. There's the red spawning pit. Okay. That's what I'm looking for.
Brown.
Okay. Once again, the main threat here is the big beetles because, go.
You choose all.
Now I'm not as worried about sending everybody else out because the little beetles can't hurt us. Oh my god, finally a fucking health potion. Thank God. Uh-oh.
All Browns.
Didn't see you.
All. An object. I like objects. You choose all. Greens.
I'm just gonna send the greens to pick this up. Because we are gonna need the browns to keep them safe while they take it back. Because depending upon what route they're gonna try and take as well. Nope, they're doing it wrong. Okay, so... How do they keep falling for this? Alright, come on, Slug, get up. Damn, that dwarf is fucking stupid. Oh, now he's walking further away. He's not gonna see the slug. Maybe he will? I don't know. Is that close enough? No, definitely not.
choose all. Reds.
We'll just put the reds here. Cook them. There we go. Of course they can't hit that fucking last one. That's fine. We can deal with that one later.
All. Brown.
I'm not worried. I mean, I am, but only kind of.
All. Browns.
Kill that guy.
All. You choose all.
There, here comes the mama slug. And provided we can kill her, that should stop all of the slugs from spawning permanently.
That's just not hygienic. There's never a cartload of salt around when you need one.
Alright, everyone get in there. And die, probably. Whew. No casualties? No casualties. What? What's going on with them? Are they dead? No, they're definitely not dead. There. Alright. Let's just knock these fuckers out. Yeah, sure, whatever. Just get in there, everybody.
You choose all.
It would be nice if you could, like, target only specific minions with, your stupid bullshit. Like, because I don't really want my fucking, blues to, fight when I use my buff spell. Like, I don't want them to do that. They automatically run up and start attacking, but I would really rather they didn't do that.
All.
We might not actually get to kill Goldo by the end of stream today, because I don't think I'm going to go for too horribly much longer, because I still got to eat, and I have work tomorrow. Where's that last dwarf? He dead? That doesn't seem likely. Here's what I'm gonna do.
Reds.
You guys should just be able to go back, like, perfectly fine, right? I don't think you... Oh, nope, okay, you still want me to turn everything off. That's fine, I guess.
Brown.
First, we're gonna kill all the slugs over here and pick up the smelter.
Oh. Good.
There we go.
Return it to the tower, and we will make you something suitably befitting. However, that smelter isn't built for a quick getaway, Master. You must search out a route for it.
Already done, Gnarl. Alright. We're gonna also have to check and see how, what the armor, how much the armor costs. I gotta say, I'm not 100% certain why the reds aren't able to just kind of walk over the magma, but whatever. It is worth noting, I guess, as well, that the reds are immune to the flamethrower attacks of the flamethrower dwarves, so I should keep that in mind. I always forget that, but I think that's probably the most apt, like, summary for the problems that this game has. And it's that so much of the solutions to this, to the like, puzzles and problems and stuff that this game has is, like...
Combustion spell will not harm innocent, sire.
No, that's cool.
It's a pillar of fire so tall and wide, you'd think it could burn the gods from the sky. Not a bad idea, knowing most gods.
Cool. Anyway, so many of the problems in this game are built around using your minions.
You have retrieved a smelter, sire. More forging options are available.
But the problem with that is the fact that
It's the Arcanium smelter. The smelter of smelters.
Yeah, shut up. Because of my mind goblins specifically, I feel disinclined to use minions as a solution because I'm afraid of losing them. So, in a perfect world, the system should be better balanced around the fact that, like, you shouldn't care about sending your minions in to die. You know? So let's see. Lightest and most agile, heavy. Okay, so that costs 7,000. This costs 8,000. So that would pretty much cost all of our money.
Wake up! There's forging to be done.
5,000 for you, 5,000 for you, and 5,000 for you. So each one of these, as I recall, adds like 0.1% of a stat point. So we'll have to see. I might spend some time farming some life force to get some good gear upgrades, because now that we have that last smelter, there's not really a whole lot else to do, all things considered, but I think that is where we're going to end it for today. Thank you all again for joining me. Apologies for the bit of frustration that I expressed. I don't usually like to, I guess, show that level of anger, but man, that just really ticked me off. We'll continue this game, of course. I'm not sure exactly what you'll see next from me. Might be a sorry about that. Might be a Salmon Max, might be something else, or might be back to No Straight Roads. Not 100% sure yet, but if it does happen, let's see, what are the days where it's most likely to happen? Probably, the unfortunate thing is the way that all of my, like, life events that I'm planning streaming around are happening is it keeps changing the best days for me to do streaming. Like, it used to be, like, Wednesdays and Saturdays, and now it's like Thursdays and Sundays and Mondays. So, I mean, we'll get some kind of consistent thing going eventually. But until then, just as a reminder, please, if you don't ever manage to catch the streams live, remember there is a VOD channel where everything gets uploaded, and on that VOD channel there is also uploaded the trailer for Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward Reread, coming in only 10 short days. 10 days until we start Heavensward, and 10 days until we start Heavensward, only to take a break from Heavensward immediately to level the 3 new classes that we unlock. So look forward to that. The series is getting started back up again. Things are gearing up to... Things are happening, you know? It's all connected. But until then, thank you guys very much for joining me, and I will see you all next time.